So I'd like to go ahead and share with you my thoughts on a number of things that James mentioned. And remember, I'm not an insurance person. I am, however, a numbers person. And I would like to share with you a few numbers that were really interesting as far as I'm concerned. And I feel like the more I think out loud and share with you the numbers and how I'm thinking, it will teach you how you might want to be thinking about those things as well. So I want to start by, I took a snapshot from the screen, from James' screen, and I want to start with these three columns here. Notice here it says total premium paid, and that's the annual payments sent to the insurance company. Those are the premium payments. This is what we pay out of that. So out of the 43,000, we pay 22,500, and the bank contributes the remaining 22,054 in this case. Now, what I like about that is notice that for first 5 years, we're setting our payments along with banks. In years 6 to 10, the bank is sending the whole payment. We're not sending anything. Now, let me share with you why I like that. Again, I'm going to expand on the first year. The first 5 years, we're sending in 22,500 out of the 43,000, and the bank is sending the rest. So the bank is putting up slightly over 50%. So let's keep it at 50% because their number is slightly more than ours, which is good. Now, the reason I like that is because there's enough cushion for the debt to accrue in case the asset doesn't perform. In other words, if the asset grows at 0% every year for 5 years, we have enough cushion. And that's why the bank is doing this, because it makes everything low risk for everyone, for the bank and for us. We don't want to lose our money. We want to keep it as low risk as possible. So by them doing that, it is creating a lot of cushion for the debt to accrue and to give time for the asset to perform. Very, very interesting. Now, in the following 6 years, notice here that the loan or the bank is putting up 100% of the premium payments. We're not putting any money down, or we're not sending any payments. Now, the reason I find that interesting is by year 6, there's so much cushion that the bank feels comfortable doing that. And this is where things start really accelerating for us. So think of it, the way I think of it is the first 5 years, we use the bank's money, but because there was so much cushion, we were fine with that. And then in years 6 and 10, we really accelerated the momentum, if you will, by having the bank putting up more, all the money. So overall, you'll notice here that even though we made payments of $430,000, $430 and $540, we only put up $112,500, which is 75.6% of the. But the bank put up $325,000, which is 75.6% of the total premium. That means we put up just under 25%. Now that is a great balance here. And I feel like we're using so much of the bank's money, but we built it in a way that the first 5 years, we created a nice cushion for the accruing debt, again, to grow into in case the asset doesn't perform. And in the following 5 years, we had the bank put up the remaining money, or all the rest of the premium payments, which is fascinating because now the bank feels comfortable. There's enough cushion for the debt to grow. It's very, very, very interesting. And in the last 5 years, nobody was putting premium payments, but there's enough money in there we're letting the money just grow at a good rate, where we have less than 25%, just under 25% of our money, and just over 75% of the bank's money, and we're making money off of their money. So this is a really, really, really interesting structure. And again, it is set up in a way where the bank feels very comfortable and we feel very comfortable. Now, we could have, on the other hand, put up 25% of the money throughout 10 years and the bank put up 75%. But in reality, that would have been a slightly higher risk because there's less cushion to grow. So by doing this, the bank had played a very smart role by saying, you know what? we're going to create so much cushion in the first 5 years that we're comfortable in the next 5 years to us putting the rest of the money. So I like that a lot, and hope you guys get the power of this. The next thing that I found very interesting is the loan rate. Now notice here on the left-hand side, this is the accruing debt. And again, this is just based on what they have on the screen, and this is not actual. And what I find interesting is that the interest kept accruing and going up. And even in that case, the whole policy worked really well. So this shows me that even with, we want to make sure we have a spread at 2.75%, at 3.74%. Now, historically, the asset has performed a lot better than that. So you'll notice here that as the loan rate goes up, we're still in positive leverage territory, which is what I like. Talking about the average here. So if you notice here, earlier we talked about, when the asset and the financing, we need to have an equity. But one of the big things we talked about is having a stable asset, which we discussed before, and stable financing. And to me, this shows stable financing, even though it's going up gradually, but it's not jumping so much over the years. So, and this is, I believe, almost like worst case scenario, but even in that case, it works really well. So that shows you why I like this. The structure is because you have stable financing, stable asset, and the structure was set up so that the 50% was upfront, creating a large cushion here. So that's why I'm fascinated by this. Now here's the big picture, if you will. And this is not exactly correct, but I just wanted to draw something for now. But all this is showing you that we're having this piece of paper sitting in our filing cabinet, growing over time, and this actually is not a straight line. In reality, it's exponential, so it dips down and then goes back up. I just drew a straight line just because it's simple to draw for this training. And at some point in the future, in the example that James gave, so it's 15 years, this is growing with debt, and you're using the bank's money to grow faster. But what happened is, at some point, pay off the loan, and that's why this dips. But you have a nice cash flow coming in, or a nice chunk of money in the cash value. So that's what's happening here. It's growing relatively fast because of the bank's money for 15 years, and then you sell but you pay off the loan, and then you have a nice cash flow there, or cash value. So that's what's happening, sort of big picture. So when you're done with this, go ahead and hit next, and we'll continue with the training.